What's up, guys? This is my first official stream. First time I'm doing this thing. Um, let's talk about the Texans, man. Texans lose to the Lions 26 to 23. This was supposed to be a signature win for D'Amico Ryans as head coach of the Texans. It was supposed to be a incredible win. Um, man, what a deflating way to lose the game. You're up 23 to 7. And your offense just goes cold in the second half, and just what a terrible way to lose the game. So we're gonna get into the whole game right here. But I want to start positive right now. Let's start positive because there were a lot of negatives in this game. So we're gonna start positive, and man, let's talk about this defense. This defense, I think, had a great game from the start. You know, I think it was the first possession, the interception. Um, the defense was getting after all day. Really, they bailed the offense out multiple times in this game. Um, and you turned Jared Goff over 5 times. That's a game that you should win. And the one guy I want to talk about right now is Jalen Petre, man. This guy who he had I think he had the best game of his career as a Texan against the Lions. He was all over the field. He was making plays in the run game. He had that tip ball interception. I believe it was him. One of the 5 turnovers that we forced uh, in this game, and the I can't really name a player on the defense in this game that you know I can say particularly had a terrible game or a bad game. um they they balled out all day, and they gave this team multiple chances. I would say they gave this offense multiple chances to, you know, keep the lead and win this game, but again, like we said, the offense couldn't do anything in the second half. Um, and the only play really by the defense that I can really point to where I can give, a little bit of criticism if I want to nitpick is that last play um to convert to the first down where, you know, Amon-Ra St. Brown is matched up against Azeez Al-Shaair, who, by the way, that guy had a really, really good game too. The leader of the defense, he was balling out there. Where he's matched up on a linebacker, and he makes a move and he gets open. That's the really only play that I can point to on the defense where I'm like, man, that just wasn't a good play. But other than that, I think the defense balled out. You didn't have Will Anderson Jr. in this game. So with that being said, I think the defense played pretty well. Had guys come back healthy this week, so that's a big positive going into going further into the season. But let's talk about this offense, man. The offense in the first half looked good. They were running the ball. And they were moving the ball, down the field at will. They didn't really convert all their opportunities to touchdowns in the first half. They were able to get the touchdown to Joe Mixon to go up 7-0, and then they had to kick a field goal. They're up 10-0. And then the last to go into the half, the touchdown to Mechie, who is a guy that we've all been waiting to break out, and I think he did that a little bit in the first half this game. So the offense looked good in the first half, but going into the second half, it was the same old story that it's been the entire season. The second half offense just fell flat. First play out of the second half, CJ Stroud throws an interception, and then you know but even with how they started the second half, the defense was still making plays. Kamari Lassiter picks off Jared Goff in the end zone, gives the ball back to our offense, and then we go down the field, and then we all know the play that I'm about to talk about right here. CJ Stroud rolls out, um, sees Tank Dell wide open, and he just floats it. And if you look at the play, Carlton Davis comes from the complete opposite side to go pick off CJ Stroud. Great play by the corner right there. But yeah, it's I think that play after that play, I'm watching the game and I'm just not very confident that they're gonna win this game, man. And this is um a lot of people have been talking about the sophomore slump by CJ. I think on that play particularly, he kind of hesitated a little bit, and that gave Carlton Davis enough time to, run his ass all the way down to the other side and pick that ball off. But, I will say that if that's Nico Collins, he's a bigger bodied receiver. He's probably able to make that play. But, this is not a knock against Tank Dell or anything. Tank Dell's great. He was he was really good last year. He's kind of fell off a little bit this year, probably because of the injury and, you know, him coming back from the injury. But he he has his physical limitations. And so I think that's part of it. I think CJ hesitating on that play is a part of it. And also, I think it's a good play by the corner to get all the way down there and pick that ball off. But after that play, I think that's what pretty much confirmed that to me that we're gonna lose this game because it's the second half struggles for this team have been an issue just the entire year. Like they against the Bills, they were able to get away with it, and I mean, if you looking back on it now, the Bills game is probably their best win of the year, and even that game, they were up like 14-3 in the first half, and they just fell flat in the second half, and in my opinion, Sean McDermott, just he was terrible down the stretch of that game, as a head coach calling that game for the Bills, which allowed us to get into field goal range, get the ball back, get into field goal range, and kick a game-winning field goal to win that game. But it's been an issue the entire season, and I think that this upcoming week, they're gonna have to look at this offense in the second half and like figure out like why are we so bad in the second half? Because we're like we're like 10 plus games into this season and they still haven't fixed the issues that they have in the second half as an offense. And if we're gonna be a Super Bowl contending team, like we all thought we were gonna be from the beginning of the season, they have to get it fixed, and they have to get it fixed quick. They've got the three upcoming games are against the Cowboys on Monday night. Cowboys just lost Dak Prescott for the year. He's out for the season. Cooper Rush is gonna start that game. The Cowboys are awful. Their defense has been terrible. Um, but Micah Parsons is back, so that's one thing to watch for. After that game, I believe it's either the Jags or the Titans. Let's see. Who do we play after the Cowboys? So we've got the Titans the week after the Cowboys, and then we've got Jacksonville on the road. So the Titans is a home game, and the Jags are an away game. The Titans haven't been good either, but I mean, I hate to be I hate to be the negative fan, but with the issues they've had in the second half, I'm not gonna sit here and tell you guys that, they're gonna definitely, win all three of these games. Like all three of these games are gonna be close. And it's really up to the offense how close they want to keep these games because we know that we can beat these teams, but it's just these second halves have killed us. They've kept games closer than they need to be. And I'll say this on the stream right now, man, like they've actually gotten lucky that they've been able to win a lot of these games. The Bills games, the Colts game, the Jags game, they had to come back in the fourth quarter and get a walk-off win. So it's they've been able to win these games, but when you're going against the Detroit Lions, the best team in the league, That's one of the most resilient teams I've ever seen. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen a team turn the freaking ball over 5 times and still come back to win that game. So, it's I think it's a matter of the Texans, um, playing not really playing to lose the game, but just as an offense, they just didn't go out there and, put their stamp on the game, like, and I will say, we all love CJ Stroud, right? CJ Stroud, is the savior of this franchise. He had a great season last year, but this year he's been I'm not gonna say he's regressed, but you can kind of see the maturation of the young quarterback with the bad offensive line. Um, he I think his confidence has regressed a little bit. Last year, if it was CJ Stroud last year throwing that ball to Tank Dell, he wouldn't even hesitate. He just let it rip, and that's an easy touchdown last year. I mean, he was wide open. So, and I think this year a lot of it is because of the offensive line. I think if you look at the stats, like he's tied for first in the most quarterback hits in the league. I think tied with Daniel Jones from the Giants, I believe. So that's definitely affecting his ability to, want to make plays, process the field, because a lot of time he's just not getting enough time to throw, uh, time to make plays, time to um, throw the ball to these receivers, and yeah. So this it was just a very very disappointing, deflating loss, and man, like this, if they win this game, it could have been like it could have been a stamp on the season where you struggled in the second half, but you know what? You were up 23-7. You close it out in the second half. You got probably the biggest win for the Texans in a long, long time. Definitely the biggest win of D'Amico Ryan's career. Um, Now, if you want to say the biggest win of his career was against the Colts to get in the playoffs last year, or the Browns game in the playoffs, then we can say that. But definitely the biggest win this season for sure, 100%. So it's just as a fan, just a really disappointing way to lose that game, man. And I was thinking about it today, and I was asking myself, like, if we would have gotten blown out, would we be as um would we be as depressed and sad about it, on Tuesday afternoon? I think I don't think so because a lot of people were expecting us to get blown out just based on how our offenses play the last 3 weeks where they haven't been really good. The game before this, CJ Stroud just gets destroyed by the offensive line, which I think a lot of us kind of expected that to happen, even though we made changes to the offensive line. So, like, I think that makes it even worse, man. You're up 23-7. Like, if you hold on to win that game, that that could have that could have changed and flipped the entire narrative of your football team, not just inside the locker room, but the way that everybody around the country, the national media, the fans look at your team. Like, if you win this game against the Lions, we get that respect, man. We just beat one of the best teams in the league. And not only if they win that game, not only did you beat the best team in the league, you made that offense look bad, man, for a lot of like a majority of the game. You turn them over 5 times. Everybody's if you win this game, everybody's talking about your defense. 3 of the interceptions were from rookies. Kalen Bullock had one, Kamari Lassiter had a couple, and it just man, the way that people would have looked at us just would have been so different. And that's what we all wanted, man. But now you lose the game. You are going to Dallas to play the Dallas Cowboys on Monday Night Football, another primetime game. And I just saw a tweet. not too long ago, talking about like the ratings and the numbers for Monday Night Football, the sorry, for Sunday Night Football, the Texans and Lions game, and I think I read somewhere that it was the highest in 5 years, and I was like, "Man, we just shat the bed and embarrassed ourselves on national TV." So, I mean, that's kinda what the perception of this team is right now. People, I think at the beginning of the year, people were we were a team to watch, and I think the rest of the country wanted to see, like, what does this Texans team look like? Are they really a Super Bowl contender? Can they really challenge the Chiefs and the Ravens and the Bills to, get to that upper echelon in the AFC? Can they really get to a Super Bowl? And, everybody's buying the Lions stock. Can we really have a Texans and Lions Super Bowl? Um, and I think that's part of the reason as a fan why this game was so disappointing the way that they lost this game. But now you got to move on. You got to move on to the Cowboys next week. So um, at the end of this 3 game stretch, the Cowboys, Jags, and Titans, even though they lost this game, even though you know we haven't looked we haven't looked great, even with all the issues on offense that we've had the entire season, I still think they can be 9-4 by the end of this 3 game stretch. No Dak Prescott for the Cowboys for the rest of the season. I think the Dallas Cowboys are in tank mode, or at least they should be in tank mode. I think the Jacksonville Jaguars, that's a division game that you're gonna have to go on the road and win, but I think they're capable of doing that. The Titans suck, man. Like I'm not gonna hold you guys. The Titans suck. You should beat that team. I'm not gonna say easily because we know how hard the Texans like to make life for us, but you should beat that team. Um, and I think the Texans should be 3-0 and get to 9-4 after this 3 game stretch. Um, but um, let's get to one of the most polarizing men on in the streets of Houston right now. Everybody seems to be wanting to come for this man's head, the week in, week out. Uh, Offensive coordinator Bobby Slowik, man. Offensive coordinator Bobby Slowik. Is Bobby Slowik on the hot seat? And I understand the frustrations from the fans. I've been frustrated with him too. Um, But do I think they're gonna fire Bobby Slowik this week, or you know, even would the Texans wait until the bye week to fire him if, the offensive struggles continue? I don't think so. I don't think they're gonna I don't think they're gonna fire him um in the middle of the season. And I've seen a lot of people comparing the situation to the Bills situation last year, um, with they fired their offensive coordinator and then got, what's his name, man? Uh, what's his name? Let's see, Joe Brady. They ascended Joe Brady to offensive coordinator last year, and it was night and day with how their offense looked. And I've seen a lot of people, comparing our situation to theirs, but I think the only reason I think they won't do it is because I just don't I just don't think they're going to the only way that they would do that is if they, like, lose more games and they're in jeopardy of missing the playoffs, and then they might make that change, but regardless, I think that's something they'll look at after the season. I I now should they evaluate him this week? Hell yeah, they should evaluate him because, your offense hasn't looked good. He runs the offense. Um, you know, I'm pretty sure D'Amico Ryan's sure he has a say in what the offense looks like every week, but, Bobby Slowik is the guy that's running it, and the offense just hasn't been very good, uh, really the entire year, so I think they have to look at everything. Um, do I think they're going to, like, change the scheme up or do anything drastic? I don't think so, but I think the main thing is the offensive line they just have to play better, and the thing with, the, like, play calling and the offensive line is their offensive line just isn't good. They've had issues with it the entire year, and everything like, all the issues combined just translates into bad offense, and I think that's what we're seeing right now. And if they fire Bobby Slowik and let's just say hypothetically you know, let's just say they make Gerard Johnson the offensive coordinator. He hasn't called in I don't think he's called any plays before, um, but but that's what I'm saying, like, if they're gonna go that route, their season has to be in dire jeopardy, and right now, you're like I know how bad this loss has felt for us, but at the end of the day, you're 6-4, you have a firm lead in your division right now at this moment in time, so if you do like, let's say you end up going 0-3 at the next 3 games, uh, you're 6-7, then they might consider it, and your offense looks terrible the next 3 games, and you lose every single game, then yes, I think they might consider it, but right now, I don't think they're there yet, and I know a lot of us and a lot of us want them to be there, but I just don't think they're at that point yet, and but regardless of all that, I think they really have to look at what they're doing in the second half offensively because they just they just look like a different team, especially in this game. I mean, I was happy with the offense in the first half. They moved the ball. They didn't really get sevens on every possession, but in football, you're not gonna get seven every possession. That's very rare. But they looked good in the first half. It's just they dropped off the face of the earth in the second half. And it's been like that all season. So they they just really have to figure out what they're doing in the second half that's contributing to them just looking this bad offensively. Do they need to make adjustments, based on what the defense is giving them? Like, I don't know. I really don't know what I really don't know what they have to do, to, be better in the second half, but, just the last 4 games that they've really been bad in the second half, they've scored, like, 6, 6, 3, and 0. So, they just have to be better offensively, can't turn the ball over, you have to move the ball down the field, can't have 3 and outs, like, all these things can't happen, and then you know, I think you have a better chance of being a lot better in the second half. And, I talked about the offensive line earlier. This is an issue they've been dealing with the entire season, and, we for a team that has Super Bowl expectations, quote unquote, this team has invested in the offensive line, big money. Laramie Tunsil, Titus Howard, Shaq Mason last year, I believe they gave him a deal, and it just hasn't been good. Like Laramie Tunsil's been good. He's from the start of the season he committed a lot of penalties, and that was an issue with this team. And but really the last 4 games, they kept putting Kenyon Green out there, which I to this day I don't understand why they kept trotting him out there. The only thing I can think of was, uh, is Nick Caserio interfering and didn't wanna admit defeat on that bust of a pick that he made in the first round. But other than that, I don't s there's no football reason why he should have been out there week after week after week. They should have benched him 3 or 4 games ago. Maybe and if they do that, you know what? Maybe you do win that Packers game. Maybe you do win that Jets game, and we're not talking about us being 6-4 right now. Um, but those are my thoughts on the offensive line. Like, I don't think there's a quick fix. Like, this offensive line is what it is. Uh, and you bench Kenyon Green, you put in Juice Scruggs, and they just have to go with what they have. And I think one of the main issues with this team is they want to run the ball um at a high clip. Like they want to be able to run the ball they whenever they want. And against the Lions, they just weren't very good at running the ball. I think it was like 1.8 yards per carry. They were bad at running the ball. The Lions did a great job of stopping the run. Um, and it seemed like they were selling out to stop the run, and then they were just gonna try to get pressure on us when we drop back to pass. But the running game wasn't good. Um, and I think and Joe Mixon's been one of the best backs in the league this year when he's on the field. But I think a lot of it is Joe Mixon is so damn good that like he makes the offensive line look good. But there's a lot of times where like there's guys getting beat and Joe Mixon just is so good that he makes a play and he runs hard and he runs a couple people over and that's just the kind of player Joe Mixon is for the Texans right now. He's probably been the best player on offense for the Texans uh throughout the season. Um, you know, and yeah, those are my thoughts on Bobby Slowik. Should he be fired? Um, I I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I have no idea if this thing gets worse. I have no idea what's gonna happen. You know, I know I said earlier that we I don't think he's gonna get fired mid-season, but I mean it really just depends how bad it gets because it hasn't been good. So who knows what's gonna happen? I hope we go 3-0 and we save Bobby Slowik's job for this year because that will mean that we're getting better, and that would mean that we're 9-4 going into December. And December, you've got to play the Chiefs and the Ravens. And so I would hope that right now they fix what they got to fix so that they can, not embarrass us as fans against the Chiefs and the Ravens, man. But yeah, those are my thoughts on Bobby Slowik. I think he's staying. Unfortunately, guys, I think he's staying until next year. Maybe they get rid of him in the offseason and we'll see what they do when we get to that point. But let's move on to next week. Play the Cowboys on Monday Night Football. The Dallas Cowboys lost Dak Prescott for the season. He's out for the year. Cooper Rush is gonna start Monday. And my thoughts on this game. So the defense looked really, really, really good against the Lions. Our defense did. So I think the way this game's gonna go, I think it'll be similar to how the Lions game went, to be honest with you guys. I think our defense is gonna play well. Um, you know, I think the way that they're gonna have to win this game, they're gonna have to bait Cooper Rush into mistakes, hopefully get a few turnovers, interceptions. Um, the one player you gotta watch out for on the Cowboys, CeeDee Lamb, one of the best receivers in the league. But again, like it's Cooper Rush getting him the ball. So I think if you can get constant pressure on the Cowboys, I think they're gonna have a good chance to be pretty dominant on the defensive end. Offensively, I worry about the offense because of Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons is a game breaker. I know they haven't been great defensively all year, the Cowboys, but you always have to watch out for Micah Parsons. And again, it's like the the Texans situation this year, watching this team week after week after week after week is, you know, I just I really don't know what to make of this team because of their struggles in the second half. And just their struggles offensively, the struggles offensively all year. So am I gonna sit here and tell you guys that I think we're gonna dominate the Cowboys? We're gonna beat their ass. We're gonna show them who the best team in Texas is. I don't think so because you know offensively they haven't really shown me that they can be that dominant team yet. And one guy to watch offensively for us, Nico Collins, he was close. I guess he was close to coming back last week, but they ruled him out like 30 minutes before the game. I don't know what the hell that was all about, but they activated him, so he's got one more week of rest. Probably gonna practice leading up to Monday. But that's the guy to watch because that's the guy that if he's back and healthy, he's a big target for CJ Stroud. He's pretty much your bailout package on offense when everything goes to hell. When CJ Stroud is being pressured and getting flushed out. So I think if he's back, obviously that's gonna help your offense. But I think that's gonna disguise a lot of flaws that you have on offense, and they really really need him back. And yeah, so the Dallas Cowboys. It's another primetime game, and I know you guys want me to make a score prediction right now, but uh, you know, let's see. Obviously, I'm gonna go with the Texans. Texans are gonna beat the Cowboys in Dallas, but I think it's gonna be a close game into the fourth quarter. Um, I think the Texans are gonna win this game. I'll say the Texans win 27-16. The Texans win 27-16. I know that the Texans have been bad on offense this season, but I just don't think the Cowboys are good enough. They're not a good enough team to really come out and win this game. I hope the Texans don't prove me wrong. Hope the Cowboys don't prove me wrong. But I just don't think this Cowboys team right now is good enough. Like they have been really, really, really bad on defense. So you should be able to run the ball against them. Um, and I believe they've been dealing with a lot of injuries. But but again, Micah Parsons is the guy to watch on this Cowboys defense. He can still wreck a game. He's still one of the best defensive players in the league. And he and if the Texans weren't so bad offensively these last couple weeks, I think this would have been a big matchup. Uh, just because of the CJ Stroud and Micah Parsons rivalry thing they have going on. I think that's going to be a fun thing to watch. Them talking crap to each other. Um, but I think it's going to be a fun game. We only get to play this team every 4 years. I know a lot of people are going to Dallas to go watch the Texans play. Even though we're not getting Dak versus CJ, and obviously that would have added a whole lot more to the matchup than Cooper Rush and CJ Stroud. But I think it's still going to be a good game. I've got the Texans 27-16. You know, I'm kind of negative when it comes to the Texans, but for some reason I feel confident that they're gonna put the stamp on this game, start the win streak in Dallas, 1-0, going going to a couple division rivalry matchups, and I said this last week, but what better time to turn your season around than right now, man? Especially after the way the Lions game went. We're all ready to freaking jump off a skyscraper right now as a Texans fan, but it starts here, man. Gotta beat the Cowboys and you know turn the season around and let's get back on the Super Bowl wagon. Because you've got a lot of good teams you got to play coming up next month. So um, yeah, those are pretty much my thoughts, on the Texans for this week. Um, I'm trying to do one of these once a week, maybe on Tuesdays. Um, but you guys let me know what time you guys think I should do these. Because Tuesday is really like the day for me, kind of, because it's right after Monday. Um, the week's just getting started, um, and perfect time to talk about the Texans, man. Start the week off right. So yeah, that's all I got for you guys. My other social media, you guys can follow me on Twitch, at Kushtopher V2. I've got a Twitter slash X, that's at Kushtopher V2, and then you guys can follow me on Instagram too. Same handle, and yeah, man, go Texans.